New Stars Podcast.
I'm now talking to Ali, also known as Ali Gonzalez Gomez. He's multifaceted, multi-instrumental, singer, songwriter, and producer. Please welcome to the show, Ali.
Neil, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I just want to. I want to start off by saying that you are officially the very first person to give us any type of airtime over in the UK, for the actual band and for myself. So I appreciate that. I'm super grateful for that.
Now, I want to start off because you grew up in the Boyle Heights neighborhood of Los Angeles and listened to and played punk, electronica, Latin music, rock, the whole gamut of sounds LA is famous
Right.
for, right? But who
Right.
influences and inspires you?
That's a good question. I think. Well, before I answer that question, I mean, this is truly a dream come true. I'm just letting you know. So, yeah, to be able to chat with you, and you're over in the UK. I mean, this is literally a dream come true. So I just wanted to throw that, put that in there. Um, well, influences. You know what? It started when I was really young. Um, I was always curious about how music was
Hmm.
created. Um, I started off with a drum set when I was like 3 years old. My mother and my aunt bought me a drum set, like a one of those like little mini drum sets, and me and my neighbor destroyed it within like 3 days of playing it. And and then from there, I was sad for a while because like I missed my drum set. From there, my uncle, somewhere around like maybe 6 or 7, my uncle Lewis, bought me a Casio keyboard, in the 80s, right?
Right, right.
And yeah, and so this Casio keyboard had awesome sounds, great sounding stuff for the time, and I remember thinking, wow, I really love the way this produces sound. Um, it's just not fulfilling me like the drum set was fulfilling
Hmm.
me, because you can bang away at the drum set and the keyboard, you're just producing sounds. You can't really just like it wasn't like percussive like the drums, and eventually somewhere around I think it was my 12th birthday where my mother asked me, okay, so what are you gonna want for your birthday? Because whatever it is you decide, if it's gonna be an instrument, you destroyed the drum set, the keyboard is sitting in the closet, you know, um, whatever it is you decide on, you better make it permanent or stick to it because this is it. And I officially wanted,
Had some
what's
tough
that?
love then.
Yeah. So I officially wanted, like, I was dead set on a electric guitar because like I had to have one, like, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was getting into rock music um at a young age, somewhere around like 11, 10, somewhere around there. But by 12 years old, I was like set on getting an electric guitar. I was watching MTV a lot back when they actually used to play
Hmm.
music. And I just remember seeing all kinds of bands. I remember I was heavily into Nirvana when I was young. I also liked AC/DC, Nine Inch Nails, David Bowie and Trent Reznor, Kurt Cobain, all huge influences on me when I was really
Hmm.
young. So, yeah. So I was set on a guitar, electric guitar, and so she got it for me, and I started playing at 12, and it was not as easy as I thought it would be. But she was, but my mother really pushed me hard when I was young. Like, she made sure that I didn't give up or that I didn't quit. Because learning how to play electric guitar was a very tough thing for me, and it was a amazing learning process. At the time, I saw it as like a very tough, dreadful learning process, but it was fun because even though I couldn't play like my mind had envisioned, I was learning and um, moving step by step. It was a learning process, so it was really fun for
Mm.
me. But but I was fascinated with just the creation of music in itself. Like every single detail about music, I was really interested in. Like I remember when I discovered distortion, I was like, wow, what is that? Like the
Yeah, yeah.
distortion from, yeah, I was like, whoa, I was super fascinated with distortion. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, how do you make that happen? Oh, aside from that, I just wanted to mention I had a guitar instructor at the what is it? The Los Angeles Music and Arts School, right here in East Los Angeles, and I had a instructor, and he taught me the first 3 years of guitar. I learned from him. So after the first 3 years I learned guitar, I took it up on my own to learn as much as I possibly could. So I would ask him questions, about all kinds of stuff, like what is that? Like distortion, what? And that's so fascinating to
Mm.
me. And everything, but when it comes down to influences and stuff like that, yeah, definitely grew up a lot on Nirvana, grew up a lot on Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor, David Bowie was like one of the very first cassette
Oh,
single
wow.
tapes I ever got, which was Fame 90. It wasn't like the Fame from like way back in the
Right.
day. It was like a remake of Fame, or like a updated version. It was called Fame 90, but it came out in 1990. Yeah, that's exact. I think that's the year it came out, basically called Fame 90. And I remember being like, what is this? Like this sounds great, this is really catchy stuff, and
I remember the original Fame.
yes,
That's what I remember.
right, yeah, that was the original, right. See, that's interesting because that's interesting because I'm a 90s kid. I'm a total 90s kid. So it was like Fame 90 was like the updated 90s version. And I just remember being fascinated with that single. Because previous to rock and roll, I was really into hip hop a lot when I was a lot younger, because of my surroundings and because of my neighborhood, and how it was in the 80s in LA, especially East Los Angeles and Boyle Heights.
Mm.
Hip hop was everywhere. But back then they called it rap a lot.
Mm.
Like they called it rap. You know, and I just remember thinking it was really raw and it was really intense. So when I got into rock somewhere in like maybe 10, 11, around there, I remember feeling that same feeling that I got with hip hop, but I liked it even more, you know? And there was just so much going on. Um, so yeah, I was really consumed by that, and then later on, as a teenager, I got into other influences, as I started growing, and as I started becoming more of a guitarist. Um, I started getting into like Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and things like that, and bands like that, and a lot of some classic rock, and then at the same time, I was into a lot of like more kind of like post-punk bands and Depeche Mode, as well,
Mm.
electronic music and things like that. Yeah, so but I was heavily Rage Against the Machine as well, Soundgarden. I was heavily influenced by the Seattle scene
Right.
as a kid. The whole what they call the whole grunge movement. I definitely was very inspired by that entire movement. A lot of the bands that came out of that scene, I was really influenced by. Mudhoney, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, so a lot of those bands. And but at the same time, I really love David Bowie. I really love Trent Reznor. So there was like this
Mm.
electronic side that just kept like pulling me
Yeah.
away as well.
Now, your
Yeah.
music is not defined by a particular genre, just like rock or punk. It combines all the genres that you grew up with. Why is that?
Right. I get so bored. I just totally gonna be frank with you. I get so bored if I just stick to one genre, especially when I'm writing music. I just cannot sit tight. I cannot. I just, um, boredom strikes, and I just feel like it just becomes repetitive. I feel like I need this variety of genres to keep me interested and keep me active without falling asleep or without like feeling like I'm just becoming repetitive or I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. um and I feel like as well, like there's Spanish rock involved as well, with the songwriting. There's like we write songs in Spanish. We're a bilingual band as well. And that comes from the time where I used to I went to Mexico where my family's from. They're from a small town in Mexico, like about 2 hours away from Guadalajara,
Hmm.
Jalisco. So the Spanish rock influence comes from when my uncle used to. I remember he was helping. One of my uncles was helping my other uncle build a house, and he would always play Spanish rock while he was working, like building the house, working construction. And I would hear that, I would hear that in the background, when I would hang out with him. I would hear like the music he would play while he's working construction. So I would hear like Spanish rock in the background, but it was more like pop. To me, it sounded a lot more like pop, kind of poppy. And but it was catchy, and so I got into certain Spanish rock bands at the time as well when I was really young. One of the main bands I got into was a band called Soda Stereo. Um, so anyway, it's all like, you know, it's just like, again, to answer your question, I just get bored with one genre, to be honest with you.
But you learned how to attract an audience by creating a new breed of music genre. Was that really necessary to do that? Or did you do that in order to create more of a following, more of an audience?
I just feel like I think that people, I think when they discover new things or when they kind of step outside of their comfort zone or um, anything towards that nature, I think that people grow. You know,
Hmm.
kind of like when you leave home or when you step outside of your own little bubble. I think you grow, and so I kind of feel like in a way, if I'm able to play rock music in English and then also play it in Spanish, I kind of feel like in a way I am maybe I'm kind of helping people grow a bit to step outside of that comfort zone that they're in,
Hmm.
uh, where they're just maybe used to just listening continuously to one genre, or one style, and I feel like if I'm able to kind of cross those genres or maybe mesh them well together, I kind of feel like maybe that opens up people's minds a bit to something new, something different, and you never know, they
Hmm.
might get into certain things, certain styles because of that, and aside from that, I feel like it unites people more in a way. I feel like there's people that like a certain style of music or certain style of rock, but then they hear us playing a mixture of both. I kind of feel like maybe there's unity in that as well. I think that's a really great thing. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we're going to have a listen to your first track. called Past Life from your album Irregular Heartbeat.
Right.
But first, tell me a little bit about this song.
This is a love song, so I'll go ahead and start off by just saying this is a love song. It's definitely a love song, and aside from that, I feel that this is one of those songs which I tend to do a lot. It's kind of a long song, but aside from it being a love song, it's a lengthy song, and I wanted it to be ethereal and have that vibe, and at the same time, I wanted to focus on kind of like an epic journey of a love song, like a ballad type. So, I just feel I was inspired one day, and I just said, I'm going to write this song, and I'm still trying to make the music video for that song, but I know for a fact that if I do make the music video for that song, it's going to be an expensive video, because I just don't want it. I don't want it to just be like any video. I want it to be like a very good video. So, yeah.
Let's have a listen to
Sure.
Past Life from your album Irregular Heartbeat.
There are times when I feel like we've met in a past life. Sacred lotus into the sea, while you're always on my mind. And your source of green, an octave of serenity from high above. Let us take this to another level. I just want to love you. Let us take this to another level. I just want to love you.
song, Past Life, from Ali, also known as Ali Gonzalez Gomez, which you don't go by, do you? You just go by Ali now, don't you?
Um, I go by, it's pronounced Ale. So I either go by Ale or Alejandro. Um, some people closer to me call me Alex, because they've known me for a while. So yeah, so I go either for either of those three. It's either Ale, Alejandro, and then some of the people that are closer to me call me Alex. So yeah.
Well, Ali, you're the producer and general manager of the operating on Dreamtime Studios in LA. You became a master of technique and a hub of musical connections. Now, when did you realize you had a raw gift for developing this new age music?
Well, um, you know, I would say I never really just like fully, I wouldn't say I fully like just grasped the realization one day. It just kind of evolved. Um,
Hmm.
it's not like I just woke up one day and just kind of realized it. It was more like just an evolution of of my skills and my ambition. I consider myself a very ambitious person, but you know, I think that it's one of those things where I'm just very sensitive to energy ever since I was very young. I'm very sensitive to energy, and I noticed that as I grew up, looking back now at my childhood, it was like these tools, guitars and bass and keyboards and synthesizers and virtual drums and programming and all that stuff, like virtual instruments and everything. These are all tools, and I see these as energy tools. I hope that makes sense or
Hmm.
clarifies a
Yeah.
few things. But ever since I was young, I was very sensitive to energy. I was very emotional, sensitive. Just specifically to energy as well. And like I see these things as tools, and like whenever I'm feeling a certain way or if I'm getting in that mood, I just start writing or I start working with these tools and dynamics. Writing songs or writing good songs are all about playing with dynamics, and you have to know how to play with dynamics properly to write a great song, and that requires a lot of energy. So it's kind of like you're playing with energy.
All
And
right.
I think that explains exactly why a lot of the time, after writing a song or working on a song for so long, I'm just drained of my energy, you know?
Mm.
And that says a lot, because that means that it definitely requires playing with energy a lot, because otherwise I wouldn't be drained of my energy. I wouldn't be exhausted when I'm done, so yeah, it's definitely because of dynamics, energy, and anything that evolves around that.
Do you think that somewhere in the music industry that there's something lacking? So you come along and you evolve what has been, what could be, into something newer to fill a gap.
Yeah, I can name a lot of things that I feel are lacking in the industry, but in all honesty, I'm doing and I am writing and I am performing. I'm talking about pre-pandemic. I'm doing all the things that I used to love seeing bands that I grew up on doing. Um,
Hmm.
basically, I'm just doing what I feel um, I love to do, and by doing that, um, you never know. I mean, I only hope to inspire certain people, certain musicians to do that themselves. But I basically started my own studio in downtown LA in the Arts District. To be honest with you, I started that. I started operating on Dreamtime Productions because I just didn't want to answer to anybody. You know, I just didn't want to. I didn't want to answer to anyone in the industry. Like when it comes to like recording and owning your masters and you know all that stuff. Owing people money and all that. I'm not into all that stuff. I just wanted to make sure that I have my own studio. I have whatever equipment I need to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I'm going to own my own masters. I am going to do everything myself. I basically became a recording engineer to record my own music. I started in 2008 as a recording engineer. And major shout out to Mike Warfield, who used to work over at West LA Music. He was actually my recording engineer mentor for like the first few years, and I learned a ton from him. So he took me under his wing for like a few years, and I'm grateful for that. After that, we kind of lost contact, so I started taking it all on my own and learning on my own. And I'm glad I did because I've been working with Pro Tools and digital audio workstations for like 11 years now. And so I just feel like I just didn't want to answer to anybody or owe anybody anything, and so I did it myself, and I've been a recording engineer for 11 years now. I have my own team. Shout out to Ben Huff, who is my mixing and mastering engineer, for my recordings. 'Cause I don't mix and master. I just think it's very tedious work, and, it is super time consuming, and, he helps me out a ton on that end. He's part of my team, the dream team, I call it. And so shout out to him. Shout out to Taquina Bryant, who is my graphic designer. He's my main graphic designer, who's like a brilliant graphic designer. He's also part of the Dream Team. He's a team member of mine. Taquina Bryant will really trust me. He's worked on I think 2 or 3 of our album covers. He did the album cover for Dimensions. He did the album cover for Blessings. And so he's part of my team as well. He's definitely a very talented graphic designer, and major shout out and much love to my drummer Roro Lowfish, who's also part of the team. So I just wanted to do it all myself, and like I said, I didn't want to really answer to anybody or owe anyone anything. So I just put in the work. I had a very early stage, somewhere around 2008, I started experimenting with recording. So yeah.
Okay, so you've got your recording studio, you've got the team behind you. So what inspires you? What topics? Okay, let's narrow this right down here by saying, what topics inspire you to write songs?
Various topics. I would say love is one of them. Anything that involves love in the sense of the light and the dark, the good and the bad. Because there are many sides to love. So there's loss, there's loss, and then there's gain. Meaning like what I mean by gain is like when you find new love, when you lose love, I also started recently, because I started writing my lyrics as in poetry first, and then it became lyrics. But definitely love society, where I see society going, where it's at right now, especially for this new album, Omnipresent Part 1. I felt that this album was very important. I feel for this album to become kind of like a reflection of society. So there's a bit of storytelling um, in this album where I use certain topics to reflect what's going on in society, or what I feel will happen in society in the future or in the near future.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I feel that, and it's something new for me. Like I always kind of wrote from like a personal point of view, or like from my own personal life. But this new album, Omnipresent Part One, um, has I'm kind of experimenting with like being a reflection of how things are right now and how I feel they're gonna become. So
Hmm.
yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. So I think those specific topics um are major influences on me. I also feel like, there's also some songs are about like depression, or some songs are about like striving towards something better, or some songs are about like keeping it together as just emotionally, mentally. There's also a lot of the lyrics have like a message of like not giving up, or a message of like continuing to have faith. I think faith is a very important thing as well. So you might find some of that in the lyrics as well. Um, I think faith moves mountains, so to speak. So I think a lot of that is found in the lyrics, but just like in a more poetic uh,
Hmm.
point of view. Yeah.
Well, talking about faith, why not let's play your next track called Spiritual Refinement.
I got my heart set on you, 'cause in your world things can feel untrue without you. I am nothing, I am no one, and it takes so much strength to move along with our sanity, but with you, I am something, I am someone, yeah.
We've just listened to the track "Spiritual Refinement" from LA. Um, Now, you've since released the Blessings EP
Right.
and working on another album called, you mentioned before, Omnipresent Part 1. Now, where do you see your music going?
You know, that's a good question. I try not to think too much about the future. At least not like maybe more than like 2 years from now. Um, because I always believe that this is the way I see it and this is the way I work. Um, I think that things should always be 50% spontaneous and 50% concrete, like planned. So I think that I can have an idea as to where I can see my music going, but it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that exactly is going to happen, you know. Um, so I try to keep it, like I said, 50% planned or 50% concrete, and then 50% spontaneous,
Mm.
unplanned. So I think that for now, because of Omnipresent Part 1, and then our next album after that, which is there's going to be an Omnipresent Part 2. These albums are definitely more, more raw, um, electronic influenced. There's a lot of synthesizers, more than before, more than Dimensions, more than a regular heartbeat, and all that.
Mm.
The Blessings EP was more kind of a little bit more melancholy, kind of a feel, and
Mm.
it was just a little bit more calm, and we mastered that EP on analog tape, so it has like a lush, yeah, it has more like a lush, warm sound, which we really enjoyed, and so that was kind of a different EP. I think our fans, or the people who admire us as a band, I think they enjoyed that EP because it was different, you know. But aside from that, the where I see the music going for now is exactly where Omnipresent Part 1 and Part 2 is going, which is like more electronic influenced, still rock, but but there's like some acoustic stuff on Omnipresent Part 1. There's some more like ethereal, more like romantic stuff, and there's like some more heavy stuff like the song we got in that starts off the whole album. You know, The Rise. It's called The Rise. And then some more like film soundtrack influence stuff. Like I'm a huge fanatic of film. I love watching music. I'm sorry, I love watching movies.
All right.
I love film. Yeah, I'm very influenced by film. So I think there's a lot of stuff that, like, some of our fans have mentioned to me that, oh, this sounds like it could be in a movie, or this sounds like something on a soundtrack. So I think we're kind of going in that direction for the next two albums, which is kind of soundtracky, kind of more electronic,
Mm.
with rock elements. I used to say, especially like during an album like Dimensions, which is their second full length album. I used to say, we were rock with electronic elements.
Yeah.
I feel like now, for Omnipresent Part 1 and Part 2, I feel like it's switched a bit. So I feel like now we're more electronic with rock elements.
All
You know
right.
what I mean?
Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Where can we download and buy your music from?
Okay, so you can go on Bandcamp, And when you go into Bandcamp, because all our music is on Bandcamp right now, you can go like, but you can basically go also Apple Music. It's on Spotify. It's on SoundCloud. It's on YouTube. But if you want to really help us out as artists and as a band, you can go on Bandcamp.com, and when you go into the search bar on Bandcamp, type in OO Dreamtime. So double O Dreamtime. That's OO, the letter O twice, Dreamtime. You type that into the search bar, and our profile pops up as Ale. And that's the name of the band. And you can click on that, and you can listen to all our music, and you can either purchase a song, a few songs, by themselves, or you can just purchase the whole album, however you please.
We'll have a listen to your last and final track called The Drop.
Right.
Where did the idea for that come from?
That's kind of like a heartbreak song, you know what I mean? I don't like getting too much into the lyrics, only because of the fact that I kind of feel like it ruins the interpretation for the listener a lot.
Oh, okay.
But it is kind of like it is more like a heartbreak song. That's pretty much all I'll say about that's all I'll say about that. But it's, I wanted it to be upbeat. I wanted it to have like an edge, kind of sound edgy and like, kind of dancey. So that's how we decided to deliver that.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure we'll all get our own self-interpretation of that song. Listen, Ale, you've been an absolute fantastic guest on the show. That you are multifaceted, multi-instrumental singer, songwriter, producer. You've got such a bright future ahead of you. You're very talented in what you do. And I'm going to bestow on you that you, Ale Gonzalez Gomez, you are a new star.
Thank you so much, Neil. I appreciate you. And thank you for making this dream come true, honestly.
You're very welcome. So let's hear it. The Drop.
You painted me from the inside. Now you don't like what you see on the outside. Did you think the pain would see through? Maybe too early, maybe too late. Now my days are cold and gray again. Inside my head, it's too bad I would've worshipped you. It's just too bad I would've understood.
drop. Thank you to you for listening. Thank you to my guests, Stacey Z and RLA. Two fantastic artists that you need to look out for on Bandcamp, Facebook, Spotify and YouTube. You can follow me also on facebook.com/New Stars Podcast. A special thank you goes to THP Music for the use of Little Angel. Now, coming right up after this, we've got even more New Stars. Keep it here.
Initiating new music sequence. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5, 4, 3, 2, I let one go.
Now new music.